Welcome to the Neverworld podcast, where together we explore the strange and unusual. Every journey starts with the first step into the unknown.
Hey, welcome to Neverworld podcast, and thanks for joining us for a quick paratake, as we like to call it, where Dave and I spin a wheel of topics and find out what kind of thing we're going to talk about today, completely unprepared and unrehearsed and unscripted.
Like my life.
Yes, like your life, like my life, and where the wheel ends is... If I would take stuff off, we wouldn't get a repeat topic. So we're spinning again. We've already discussed Bloody Mary. So if you want to hear our take on Bloody Mary, go back and take a look. I should have removed it from the wheel, but nobody ever accused me of being smart. Ancient astronaut theory today, folks.
Really?
Yes.
Very cool. We've done a little bit of this already.
We have. So I think it is definitely worth a topic. We have an earlier episode where Dave and I go into a little more detail about the book Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Däniken. Yes. And that was kind of a turning point for both of us on that. When it comes to ancient astronaut theory, for those of you who are not familiar, it is basically the idea that we are not the first advanced civilization on this planet, that thousands upon thousands of years ago, there were advanced civilizations here that got wiped out by an apocalyptic event, be it an ice age that is referred to as the Younger Dryas event that happened about 12,000 years ago. And that's where we start to see like Göbekli Tepe and these other sites dating that far back. And what really drives a lot of the ancient astronaut theory is modern or conventional wisdom regarding this is those groups of people that built these temples at 12,000 years ago would have just been hunter-gatherers. So, but all of a sudden, these hunter-gatherers became stonemasons and astronomers and developed languages overnight. I can't buy that. So I tend to lean toward the ancient astronaut theory of there was somebody here before, or somebody traveled here and passed on the wisdom, or both,
Could be. There's a lot of, or most of the ancient sites, like Egypt, the Mayan temples, many, if I'm not mistaken, a whole bunch of the Chinese structures all point towards Orion's Belt, right?
Yeah. There's been a lot of connections made to that area of space.
Yeah, and when you line them up, they line up to the star clusters of Orion's Belt, which is, you know what? Maybe it's a coincidence.
It's an odd coincidence for buildings or monuments around the world to point to the same thing.
Maybe it's a coincidence that all these things are being built the exact same shape, exact same direction, exact same star system is being used. But I don't believe in coincidences.
I want to interject real quick, because that reminded me of something on Netflix. Graham Hancock has a series called Ancient Apocalypse, and I
haven't watched it yet.
I do recommend everybody take a look at that, because he really covers a lot of this stuff, and it's just fascinating to me.
Right.
He visits a site in Ohio. It's a serpent mound. It's a mound shaped like a snake, and the head lines up to where the sun would be during the summer solstice, exactly like 10,000, 12,000 years ago, before the event of everything. So again, another coincidence of these things lining up to certain dates and time. It's beyond coincidence to me. It really is. So that's where I go with it, man.
Well, I remember when I was a kid growing up, everybody said, look, scientists, finger quotes, folks, scientists would say, there was never a great flood. The Bible is just full of hoopla. Nothing there, nothing to see here, folks. And the more they said it, the more they started finding that there was probably a great flood, at least
Hmm.
in the Middle East, like a big section of the Middle East, or in some of Europe too. And then they tried to describe that, well, but just this one little area, this is where this happened. And then the more they dug in other parts of the world, the more they started finding the exact same evidence of the exact same flood on the other side of the planet. You can go to any rock quarry in Michigan and literally look down the side wall. I mean, I've been to a few of them when I was a kid growing up. Went to some with friends of mine that were like into geology or what have you. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but
Yeah, I
like
think so. For the rocks, yeah,
we'd
geology.
sit there and look at the strata. I mean, it's just amazing. Like you can
Hmm.
literally pick out sections of time.
Yeah.
And then I've never noticed it because I'm not smart enough to notice this, but there is a layer that is worldwide that has some kind of
Oh, yeah, I know what.
where where the where they think a meteor hit, and it was bad enough to where you have like a thin layer of gunk all over the planet. And then they have another layer. I'm not sure if it's before or after that layer, to be honest with you, folks. I just don't remember. But they have proof of a grand flood, like a flood all over the planet, all at the same time. So the Great Flood did happen. Now,
Hmm.
whether it happened like from Gilgamesh,
Or
Moses,
Noah.
or way before, and
Or
this is
was it
just,
Ragnarok? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Or whether, yeah, or was it Atlantis, whenever
yeah.
Atlantis blew up? And maybe that's also where you get all the dark crap. Who knows? I don't. Just throwing that out there for you to think about. But it's just amazing that everybody for years said this never happened. And now, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but so many years later, scientists are finally looking at this going, yeah, there's probably a great flood sometime.
They're starting to. They're starting to.
Yeah,
And
it's
there
going to be
seems to
another
be
30
such a
years before they admit
resistance.
it.
Yeah. What's that? I'm sorry.
I was going to say it'll be another 30 years before they all admit it, at
Yeah. I
least.
mean, we have a hard enough
It's,
time for them admitting UFOs that are on video.
Mhm.
They're still trying really hard to debunk the stuff that they released. And it's just like,
Yeah,
come on.
that's what that's what kills me. Like I know the government has an ulterior motive for releasing that stuff. Okay, I because they never do anything out of altruistic.
Oh, no, because I guarantee they've got something even bigger. So they're just
They're
giving us little pieces.
just not just that, but there's another reason.
Yeah.
They always have another reason. They're always trying to play 4-dimensional, 8-dimensional chess,
Right.
whatever. They usually fuck it up in the end, but they try.
Well,
God
you can
bless
only
them.
tell a lie for so long.
Bless their heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bless their little hearts. But yeah, they can. Eventually, it always comes out. Like the CIA coming out about Kennedy assassination. Yep,
Mhm.
we did it.
Yeah.
Nobody crickets on that.
Many
That's a
years
whole nother
ago,
subject.
I was reading a book from Jesse Ventura, full of a bunch of conspiracy theories, and it's a
Yeah,
fascinating book.
turns
And
out he's right.
he talked about Lee Harvey Oswald,
Yeah,
um, and being tied to the CIA and everything, and
yeah,
also the other one that he mentioned was James Earl Ray,
yeah.
as another CIA. And it's like,
Oh,
I think Jesse
they
the
were
Body was
dupes.
onto something.
They were dupes. That's why he left the country. But
Yeah, yeah.
back to the
Sorry.
point. That's another subject we're going to have to talk about just in general.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not pushing anyone's agenda to admit that there was a great flood and that it happened to be in a couple of religious texts. They don't want to admit it for the Jewish faith. They don't want to admit it to the Christian faith. They don't want to admit it to the Muslim faith. And I don't know if there's a Buddhist um, story out there or not.
There
But they
probably
just,
is.
if it's religious based, they don't want to admit that it happened. I don't know why.
I
If it's
don't
a
either.
fact, it's a fact. It doesn't matter whose religion is tied to it.
Yeah.
Stop that, folks. Just stop playing the game. Just look at the facts. There's a big layer. It says that it flooded here. Okay. Who
Hey,
cares who says their God did it or didn't do it? Just
yeah. Did it happen
it
or not?
flooded. Something
Yeah.
happened. We survived it somehow, some miraculous way. We survived it. That's up to everybody else to figure out. We just looked at it and went, "Yeah, that was a heck
Where's
of a flood."
there's a place in Turkey, I think, near
Mhm.
Cappadocia, the Darren Kuyu underground civilization. It's like a city that they found underground
Yeah, in the mountains,
in the
where you can
mountains.
only see the entrances from a certain angle,
Yeah, pretty wild.
right?
Yeah, and so that's the thought that that's where at least some of us
Yeah,
survived this
yeah.
extinction event, which would make sense going underground with the lizard people.
Lizard people.
I couldn't resist. Anyway, but that's
Lizard people.
when we talk ancient astronaut theory, that's kind of what we go with is
Yeah.
the idea that we were visited before, that we're not the first on this planet.
Yeah.
So
Whether we were an ancient race
we could be.
and how many times did we die out?
Were we seeded? Were we,
Yeah.
created?
Were we created? If we were created, look at Mars, seems to be the closest planet that could have possibly
And
had
look at
life.
it now.
And I know a lot of people freak out and go, oh my God, they're talking Martians. Look at the planet. They know that there were oceans on it at one point.
There's still water there.
Where did the oceans go? They probably went into the planet. That's my best guess. I could be completely wrong. Just throwing that out there for anybody who's listening.
I think we as a species have already destroyed Mars. So
yeah, but did we do it or did something else do it?
I
Because
don't know.
there's a big crack. I mean, that one
Yeah.
canyon that's
it's probably us.
dwarfs the Grand Canyon.
Dave, we probably invented AI, and then that was it.
Cylons, Jesus.
Yep, every time.
They
So-
don't wear red dresses, folks. They are the toasters. They are just the toasters.
They are toasters.
Don't get
But
your hopes
yes,
up.
anyway,
And yeah, for me, I believe that it could happen. I'm not saying that it did. I'm not saying that it didn't. But I'm saying there's a really good chance that something like that may have happened or is happening now. Who knows?
I'm right there with you. When it comes to a lot of this stuff, I can be convinced. All I need is facts and show me, and I'll make my own decision. I find it arrogant to think that we are the first ever here and the first only in this
Right.
vast universe. Just look at the sky, and I'm sorry, mathematically, there's something else out there, and we're not the only ones. What's that?
It doesn't jive not to.
It doesn't. So, swallow that. You're wrong, and there's something out there, and just let's see what it is.
But real quick, we were talking about ancient aliens and stuff.
Yes.
There's a guy named Praveen Mohan. He has a channel on YouTube. I wanted to mention him because he does a lot of his stuff about the Indian temples. And I've read and seen some stuff about the Indian temples, but this guy goes into great detail. And some of his details are mind-blowing.
Wow.
The things that he comes up and he'll take you to it and say, you couldn't do this particular thing without a lathe. You couldn't build this without some kind of lathing system. And this stone is so hard, you have to have something harder than that. And there's no rocks around here that'll do it. But if you follow him, he does talk about ancient astronauts and ancient aliens. And it's very interesting. It's not everything about his show, but
I definitely will check him
that
out.
he goes through in the temples, it's worth a shot. If you have any interest in Hindu religion or mythology, or their temple building,
there's so much
this is a good guy to go to. His name is Praveen Mohan. He's worth
Thank
a
you
watch.
for throwing that out there, because I need to look at that as well. And I do suggest that any of our listeners out there take a look at the Hindu scripts and the stuff from India. They've got some of the oldest writings on this planet, and their writings about UFOs is pretty amazing.
And nuclear holocaust. And there's parts of I think.
Well, let's just go on with they had an active imagination. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, let's just keep going with it. It's all made up. I mean, we'll ignore all the radiation fields that are just now starting to die out in some of those sections of the country. We'll just ignore that. But it's very interesting when you hear the ancient stories and then you overlay with instead of the gods, you go a couple of alien species literally fighting on the planet or above the planet. Makes a little bit more sense.
It does.
That's all I'm saying.
It's done two things to me, and that's one of the things I definitely want to talk about with the ancient astronaut theory. I used to consider myself a pretty rabid atheist, and just there's no way in God's. But when I started looking at the ancient astronaut theory and started thinking, well, what would aliens appear with all this technology? You might think it's a god,
right?
But let me ask this: how how would an ancient beings or race of people even come up with the idea that there'd be a god? What would they even base that on? What would
Mhm.
they have to even make the idea of a god? We wouldn't know what we don't. Only reason we know what a god is because we were indoctrinated into churches as kids.
And we were told. We were
Yeah,
told
because we
about
were told. So somebody somewhere, yeah, so it got me thinking, it's like, could they have been astronauts? What if they really were gods?
it. Mhm.
What difference does it make? Is there really a difference? I don't know. So it's like it has made me more open to actually reading a lot of scripture, a lot of
Right.
stuff from different religions with a whole new light. Because when you look at it under the guise of ancient beings that may have
Mhm.
traveled interdimensionally or through time and space, I mean, it makes you go, hmm.
Well, you and I have talked a little bit about that before, like where some people think that, oh, you can't tell them because it'll destroy religion and everybody will freak out. My
No,
thought is, then you're awfully weak in your faith.
thank you.
For me, and even with the guy who wrote Chariots of the Gods, Van Doniken, had said that if you came out and all of a sudden these 30 different types of alien beings landed on the planet and were like, hey, there's an entire galaxy out there, you guys want to go rumble, let's go, yay. Where he says everybody in the world goes, oh my god, all the religious people would freak out, governments would crash. Well, our economy might crash for a little while, but if the aliens came here, they would already have been taking that into account. And if they're if they're
Benevolent.
friendly,
Yeah.
they're going to help out. If
Yeah.
they're not friendly, they did it on purpose and we're going to have to arm up. But that's beside the point. My point is, for me, that would just make my faith stronger
Yeah.
because
Wouldn't it?
look at all the variety. There's a scene in Robin Hood, the one with the one without the English accent. I can't think the guy who was in
Costner?
Waterworld. Who did
Kevin
Waterworld?
Costner.
Kevin Costner. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you the first time.
Yeah.
In Kevin Costner's, where the Muslim guy that came back with him
Mhm.
is sitting there, and the little kids look at him, and they're like, "Well, why are you black?" And he says, "Allah, in all his glory, loves variety." For me, I
That's a
use that
beautiful
same thought.
statement.
For me, that's the same thought. If there's so many aliens out there, my God, in all his wisdom, loves variety. And that's that.
It's beautiful.
That's not going to weaken my faith, what faith I
Mm-mm.
have. If
No.
anything, I'm going to become even more faithful.
Well,
Like,
and
wow,
that's
look at this. We aren't the only
exactly.
ones. This is awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I get to thinking. It's like, wow, and it
Yeah,
made quite a change in the way I look at the world, the way I look at things.
right,
I'm not as
right.
dismissive, and actually has lit a fire, which I like.
Mhm.
So
And I
it's
know
cool.
I know I play the part of and well, let's just say it, a butthead sometimes.
No.
And I like to make fun of a lot of things, but true faith in someone that's truly faithful of whatever religion they're in,
Mhm.
as long as they're not harming anybody in the process, I will get behind you 100%. I don't care,
Amen.
except
Amen.
Satanism because it's a negative religion, and who needs that kind of negativism? That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Negativeness
and
is negativeness, no matter what you want to paint it.
that is one of our topics that may come up on the wheel someday.
Okay, yeah, because I've read a lot of those books too, and I just shake my head like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
But Ancient Aliens, again,
yeah.
where did all the religions come from?
Well,
India's
that's
got
what I was getting at.
100,000
It's like
gods.
somebody just made it up. Okay, so what did they
Yeah,
have to base that on? What in their life made them base that? Because you
right,
just don't make up shit out of thin air. Something
right.
you just got to see something, you've got to hear something. So
And the miracles in the Bible, the miracles in uh, the
the
Hamapata,
Torah? Oh no, I can't
in the
pronounce it. I know what
Torah,
you
there's are lots of books that I've read that show and talk about miracles. And when I see these, I'm like, okay, is that just a miracle? Spiritual? Is it an alien? Is it's something, something's there. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it, but there is something there. You don't have 500 witnesses to an event or 5,000 people getting fed and it's never been
something's there.
disproven.
Yeah.
Something's there. I
Something
don't know
happened.
what it is. I
Yeah.
can't. My faith just says believe, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I know some people call me crazy, but I'm like, Okay, it happened. 5,000 people saw it. Nobody negated it. If it went to court, you had that many witnesses.
I'd bet on it. I'd bet on it happening. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
all I'm saying.
So
If it goes to court, who's going to win?
exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I believe that there's a
Yeah.
really better than good chance. I believe more now in ancient aliens actually coming here, or aliens maybe even kind of staying in around and hanging out with us
They might already be here. I believe
more
that's
than I
a strong
did
possibility.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
here's
they're here. They're they're very good chance they're walking around. Lizard
yeah,
people.
and I'm going to leave all you fine folks with a little thought. As Dave said, could they be out there walking around?
Yeah.
Um, what if we are those sleeper cell aliens ourselves? Just something to think about.
Do I have a spaceship?
I don't know, but if I start hearing all along the watchtower and something clicks inside my head, I'll know I'm a toaster. So on that note,
I have a spaceship. I don't care.
you'll get a spaceship. That's true. Toasters need spaceships too. So thanks again, folks, for joining us for Neverworld Podcast Quick Pair Take. Not so quick tonight, but hey, take a look into ancient astronaut theory. It really is really going to broaden your horizons on everything to do with anything with aliens, UFOs, religion, supernatural. You can't have one without the other. To me, they are so intertwined. So hit the like.
You know what? I see what you're saying there. I could agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. They just tie together because what one person calls a god, another calls an alien. It's what's a ghost could be a traveler.
Yeah. Who knows?
It could be a Sasquatch. I don't know.
Sasquatch.
Or the Jersey Devil. So thanks again, folks. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, YouTube, and wherever you want to listen to podcasts. If you can't find us, drop us a line. Let us know.
And thank you very much for watching. We do appreciate your time. I know it's just two old guys rambling, but it's, maybe it's the kind of conversation you'd like to have with somebody, but you can't have. This is what we do. I mean, this
so
is
that being said,
go ahead.
We'll have a conversation with you if you want to reach out. So
doesn't matter to me.
Absolutely.
As long as we keep it all friendly and everything and cool, like we just did, I'm fine with that. That's all I ask is just be friendly.
All right. Thanks again, folks, and we will catch you later. Bye.
Cheers.